It's a play bus! But where does it go? Where does it stop? What's the sign of the lollipop? Stop! It's the patch stop. With Peggy Patch.
Peggy Patch is out today. She's found a patch to stop and play. What is that sound? Who can she hear? Maybe there's someone watching quite near.
Bird, 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 watching, got our eyes on you. Bird, 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 watching, who's watching who? Now let me see now.
How do you do?
How do you do? How do you do? We birds are dressed from top to tail in a fabulous suit of clothes, cut with a dash or a bright-coloured flash, so our handsome figure shows. We birds wear feathers from wing to wing, so prettily patterned or plain. Our joy and pride keeps us warm inside. With feathers we can weather out the rain. With feathers we can weather out the rain. We birds take the plunge from time to time, a refreshing sort of dip. No soap to clean, we prefer to preen, and the bath water's good enough to sip. We birds have a flutter now and then, but we're always ready to hide. In a bush or a tree, you might spot me, or down by the waterside, or down by the waterside. Bird, 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 watching, got our eyes on you. Bird, 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 watching, who's watching who?
Let me see now.
Oh, hello.
Hi there.
How do you do? How do you do?
Birds come in all different shapes and sizes. Look, there's a little round duck there. And some more ducks with tufty bits on their heads. And there's a swan with a long black neck. And I can spot some tall, slender flamingos with bendy necks and spindly legs. These water birds have been collected together in a place where people can come and look at them. Can you see they've all got different shaped beaks? That's because a bird's beak matches the way it feeds. Some have got pointy beaks so they can peck at their food. And ducks like to dabble. That means they sift the water through their bill so they can collect the tasty morsels. And others dive for their food. Where's it going to bob up next? There it is. That's clever. Ah, here come John and Angus. I think it must be feeding time now. See if you can spot the different ways the birds feed. What sort of beaks have the flamingos got?
Long.
They sort of go over like that, don't they?
Yeah.
Shall we have a go at making some beaks? I've got in my bag that I've got lots of different beaks here, you see, and then we'll fold them over and that'll make a beak. Pick a piece of card, any piece of card that you want, and I've got some colouring pens in here as well. You're going to have an orange beak, are you?
I'm gonna do it.
So you can do like spots or stripes, can't you?
I'm gonna do spots.
Spots. That doesn't really show up the yellow, does it?
A dotty bird would have a dotty beak.
It would, wouldn't it?
I could put a stripe through there, couldn't I?
You could do a nose on it, couldn't you?
I know.
You could do a little dots for the nose holes so they can breathe.
Do you know what I'm thinking of? We could put different colours of dots all the way.
In the middle there, yes.
We're going to do the nose holes after.
Right.
I'm going to do one of those. I'm doing a stripy one.
What does your bird look like then?
A bird with a diamond on. Maybe it could be a hawk.
A hawk, yes. They've got giant wings, haven't they? Is yours finished then? Hold it on your nose then. Now if you put your hand in here, you'll find something that will hold it onto your face. Ah, yes. So if you put your glasses on, there we are, there's another yellow pair.
Oh, let's watch some top of yours. Oh.
There we go, is that over your
I've
ears?
got an elephant.
There we go, look. Hold that on your nose, that's it. And then we'll put your glasses on over your ears. All right, there we go. Make your noises, go on. Peggy, which bird is in your storybook?
Who has a coat of black and white with wings so small and neat and a quite unique penguin beak? Penguin Pete. Who goes waddling through the icicles on his flippery feet? Who'll swim in the sea brilliantly? Penguin Pete. Penguin Pete. Penguin Pete. Once upon a time, there was a colony of penguins living happily together in the Antarctic. The youngest penguin was called Pete. He was so small that the other penguins called him Pint-sized Pete. Don't worry, said Pete's mother. All penguins are pint-sized when they're young. One day you'll grow bigger and then you'll be able to swim in the sea with the rest of us. Well, Pete thought the grown-up penguins looked beautiful in the sea. He wanted to grow up as fast as he could so he could join them. But when the penguins came back in the evening and waddled clumsily to their nesting places, well, Pete couldn't help laughing. They looked so funny. Grown-up penguins couldn't move about on snow and ice any better than pint-sized Pete himself. I'll show them a penguin can move gracefully on land, said Pete to himself. And he began practicing flipper skating every day. It was great fun. He slid about all over the ice and usually ended up on the ground with a thump. Now and then, some of the other penguins who were Pete's friends stayed home with him. Well, they had a wonderful time playing hide and seek, making snow penguins and having snowball fights. The time flew by. One day, a flock of birds landed on the patch of ice where the penguins lived, calling and screeching and flapping their wings. Well, Pete marched proudly through the rows of birds. How tiny they were. He felt very big and grown up. "Hello," said one of the little birds. "What kind of funny bird are you, then?" "I'm a penguin," he said. "My name's Pete." "Oh, pleased to meet you, Pete," said the little bird. "My name's Steve. Hey, let's have a flying race." "Don't be silly," said Pete. "I can't fly." "Well, it's high time you learn then," said Steve. "All you have to do is flap your wings very hard. Just watch me. It's quite easy." Well, Pete tried and tried and tried to fly. Oh, but he couldn't. He could only jump a little way into the air. But Pete and Steve were soon great friends, even if they couldn't go flying together. Well, Pete wanted nothing better than to fly with his friend. And although he tried to take off over and over again, his flights always ended in a crash landing. The day came when the flock of birds had to move on. Well, there was nothing Steve could do about it. As the two friends said goodbye, big penguin tears trickled down Pete's cheeks. "Never mind, Pete," Steve called back as he flew away. I'm sure we'll be landing on this patch of ice again next year. Bye. Bye. Well, Pete was very sad, but his mother knew how to cheer him up. The next morning, he was allowed to go swimming in the sea for the first time. He was very excited, though the thought of diving into the water head first was rather scary. But Pete found 2 ledges and slid backwards into the sea. I'll do a proper dive tomorrow, thought Pete. Well, his first few strokes were rather clumsy, but soon he was gliding through the water like an eel. He could even do a backstroke. He came last in most of the swimming races, and he lost when the penguins played games, but Pete was a good loser. He never tired at looking at the fish and the seaweed. There was something new round every corner of every rock. What a wonderful, mysterious place the sea was. The moon had risen by the time Pete had waddled happily back to his mother. He felt too tired to tell her about all his adventures, but that could wait until tomorrow. He fell asleep at once and dreamed of Steve and the sea and the dive he was going to do the next day.
Peggy Patch's puzzle. Peggy has collected 2 white feathers, but there's something wrong with one of them. What is it? Could you spot the difference? Well, one is dirtier than the other. But did you notice when I put them in the water, the white one, the water ran off it, but not off the dirty one. That's because it's got oil on it. Now, if a bird comes across oil in the sea or on the seashore, it stops its feathers from being waterproof and the bird can sink. Hopefully somebody finds the bird and takes it to a place where the oil can be cleaned off. Peggy's been telling me about the time when she went to the place where they clean the birds. She took her raincoat because she thought she might get wet. She went to see birds called guillemots, who usually swim about in the sea and eat fish. Peggy met her friend Colin, who knows about the guillemots.
When the birds first come to the unit, they're all examined. They're medicated and they're fed. We keep them for 3, 4, 5 days before we actually clean the bird. The first thing we do to a bird when we clean it is clean the beak. We put the rubber band on the beak simply to stop the bird from pecking the people who are cleaning it. We use just ordinary washing up liquid. We found that's quite sufficient. Okay, let's have a wing. Some oil there. It takes quite a long time to clean the birds. This particular type of bird will take up to an hour. Tip him up. At the end of the cleaning process, we rinse the bird thoroughly to make sure we get rid of all oil and all washing up liquid from underneath and on top of the feathers. And hopefully the birds will become waterproof. They should be waterproof as soon as we finish cleaning. Once the bird is cleaned and we've sprayed and rinsed feathers, the bird is put into what we call a drying room, which is simply a room with a heater in there. They then stay in that room overnight. They preen, which is something they do with their beak, and simply gets the feathers into the right positions where they should be on the body. The following day, the birds are put out onto the ponds where they're allowed to stay, splash about, and show us that they're waterproof. The birds are kept for up to a week, and they're released from a beach, and they simply run into the waves, into the water, and hopefully swim off happily.
Another way of making a beak. Do you think it could be a guillemot or a penguin? How do you do?
Bird, 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 watching, got our eyes on you. Bird, 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 watching, who's watching you? Bye from me now.
Ta!
Cheerio. Toodaloo.
Bus is here. I better tell Peggy. Peggy, leave your bird friends. You could show why bird your beak. Peggy will be back next week with some more bird friends. Goodbye.
These 4 Playdays activity books are packed with games, stories and things to do. They're published by BBC Books and are available now through bookshops.